Worse.
That's worse.
You're kidding.
Much worse.
Oh, Tony's got the other pup.
Yep. As soon as I heard he said he couldn't get her, I knew where she was.
Okay, how about now?
Yes, much better.
200 times better.
Okay. I don't know what's going on, but we'll stick with that microphone for now.
Well, it's 9 o'clock. We'll get rocking and rolling here.
All right.
Let's go around the room and see who everybody is. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Jim Davis, N0DNY.
Darren, KC0ZIE.
Roger.
N6RFI.
Jim Dixon, K6ETE.
Jerry, KHEEE.
Yeah.
Bob,
K0BEC.
Got a double.
David, K6OG, Estes Park.
Earl, KEO0UFB. I'll get it right.
Tim, WW8L, Windsor.
Mark, K0FNL in Hamshack.
Tony, KD0WDX.
The other Mike from Windsor, KE0LCK.
This is Roy over in Greeley. Kilo Foxtrot 0 AWS.
This is Rhodes over in Milliken, KA0 ABV.
Mark in Fort Collins, AE0DJ.
Good morning, K2AD, Doug.
Mark, N7CTM. Firestone.
Ted, N0RQ in Loveland.
Dave, W0DAS, Fort Collins.
And K0ARD in Collins.
Yes, KE0 Emil. Loveland.
KE0RXF here in Fort Collins, representing Lazy Boy.
Very good.
That it?
Wayne, 80KE.
Dave, W0DDZ.
And K0KN.
Anyone else out there that we missed?
Amanda, K1DDN, camping portable outside of Hartselle.
Okay. Great. Thanks all for coming. I appreciate that. I think it was Thursday I sent out the newsletter. Any comments, questions, or anything like that on that?
No, before we go any further, I'm going to mute everyone just to cut down background noise. So if you've got a comment, make sure you find the unmute button.
Anything else that you'd like to see in that newsletter, please send me a note at president@ncarc.net, and we'll definitely add it to it. We do have a new section we're trying to promote a little bit. We're going to tie in a little bit of two things that we're actually doing, our Elmer program and our TechNet. Basically, what those guys are going to do is come up with kind of a column, if you will, on anything that they've thought people have discussed or something that might be appropriate, no matter how basic or how advanced it happens to be. So we're going to start adding that, we hope, next month, and we'll see what happens with that. Again, it's going to be kind of a column that if we haven't talked about anything, we're not going to put in there. So it's not going to be an open column. Got a couple things I want to talk about. First of all, we're going to keep this short because Amanda's got a presentation for us that I'm really looking forward to. And that's the bylaws. Darren, what's our count on the bylaws?
We have exactly 61 votes in, which is exactly 26% of the membership. So it is now a valid vote.
Is it yes or no?
Current standing is yes.
Okay. I will consider that that the motion is passed. The second part of that is we have one person who is a candidate for that position, and that's Jim Dixon. Is there anyone else that is interested in having that position? Mike is saying no. Mark, you're just smiling, so I don't know.
Can we nominate someone we hate?
Well, you know, Doug's
it's
down
one of those
there.
vindictive things that we might do.
I'm sorry, what?
It's one of those vindictive things we might do to get back at someone.
Mm-hmm. What it is, and to kind of explain this for people who are brand new and things, it's actually another member at large. We've since we've passed this, we've actually added we have a proposal from going to one member at large to a possible three, just because we're getting very, very large. Okay. And we found that we could add another position or two. Right now we're just adding the one position to help us out, and everybody and anybody in the club can help us out, do whatever we're going to, but there's certain things that you kind of need a voting member for. So that's why we actually came up with that. Anyone else is interested in this new position?
Joe, maybe I missed it, but did you give the criteria to, this is going to be a board appointment, is it not?
No,
this
is a vote, an actual election.
So we're gonna go to a formal vote. Okay.
That's correct. And that's actually in the statement.
And I thought I was paying attention and I missed that.
Well, I didn't explain it because it was in the votes in our thing.
You expected me to read something. Okay.
Yes.
No, it's stated in the bylaws now that if there's an empty board position, the board can appoint someone to fill the position until the next member meeting, at which point it'll be an official vote. So they can, so like if Joe walked away, we can appoint a president until the next meeting, and then it would be voted on.
I guess what I missed, or what I was thinking, is the number of directors at large is up to the board, though. Is that
up to 3?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we have a maximum for that. Anything else, Doug? Okay. Anybody else have any questions about this? Anybody else want to run?
Joe, this is Carl. Can you run over the requirements? I'm new to it, but I'd volunteer help when I can.
James, since you wrote them, you want to go through those? Wherever you're at.
Well, I'm not sure what you're asking. Since I wrote what?
The bylaws stating who is eligible to run for an office.
Well, I don't have it up in front of me, but I believe you have to be a member of the club in good standing for, I believe it's 1 year. I think that's the only requirement.
There's 4 counties they have to be in.
There's 4 counties.
Yeah, they have to be residing in Loveland or in Larimer, Weld, Jackson, and I think there's another one. Maybe it's just 3.
Well, I don't remember that part, Joe. So maybe you're more up on it than I am. I don't remember there being any counties in the bylaws.
Who's in the position now? Did you appoint a temporary, and are they happy with it?
What was that?
Did you appoint a temporary person to the position, and are they happy with it?
If you're breaking up a little bit. If you appoint a temporary position, what?
As I understood it, when you have a position come open, you appoint somebody temporarily.
Correct.
Next meeting, and is that person that you appointed, are they happy with the position? In other words, is it an open seat or is there an incumbent?
It is an open seat. We have somewhat appointed someone, but we never had the position to appoint. until just now.
Well, I'll throw my name into the ring, and I'd love to help as much as I can. But if the other person is more interested, I'll bow to them.
Let me get to this.
And Joe, you're right. I'm sorry. I actually didn't write the bylaws. Wayne and I just updated them last time, so I wasn't intimately familiar with every last little piece. You are correct. All board members must reside within either Larimer, Jackson, or Weld counties and be a continuous member in good standing for 1 year. Those are the requirements.
And Jim Dixon has actually been filling that position, if you will. Again, we have not had the vote so we could actually appoint anyone. He's come in and I basically appointed him as a liaison for the PAO. So that's where we're at with this, Carl. So.
Okay. I'll just leave my name out there and we'll see where it goes.
Okay, we have a vote. All in favor for Jim Dixon, raise their hand or say yes.
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 Jimmy.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
I withdraw my nomination.
You withdraw your nomination? Okay.
Yes.
I mean, okay, you sure? I want to keep this honest.
Can I, I'm going to let you finish that, Joe, but can I have just 10 seconds after you make this thing official to talk about this?
Certainly. Well, that's fine. We've made it official. So.
Okay. I just want to, this was brought up earlier at the last meeting, I think, about, maybe it was 2 meetings ago, about there was some questions about whether you had to be a board member to contribute to the club, and the answer is absolutely not. We welcome the help every which way to Sunday. We've got the volunteer lists. We can always use help. And Carl, I would very much welcome you helping us, in any way possible. There's a lot of folks that do exactly that. We take people up on repeater trips. We've got cleanup trips. We've got, storage cleanup. We've got, to talk about social events. There's a lot of ways for individuals to help. And so I would very much welcome you and any other folks that would like to be a part of this club in more of a capacity than just joining the meetings. There's always room for all of you. So there's a volunteer list that you can join, a listserv, and Darren can probably give us more details on that. If you're interested in hearing about what is going on next and when we need help with what, that's a great way to. It's been pretty quiet during the virus times here, but we'll start picking up and using that again. And I encourage anybody that would like to, lend a hand and do more and learn about the club and everything else to join that. And we'll stay religious about using that to welcome folks and have you be part of the club. So thanks for that. Just Darren, maybe you can fill us in on how the best to join that. And thanks for the time there, Joe.
Yeah, how to get on that list would be great. I would love to be on that list.
Yeah, the best thing to do would be to log in to the website and go to your user profile. And down at the bottom, there are 4 check boxes for different aspects of volunteering in the club. And, if that is doesn't cover exactly what you're looking for, feel free to send an email to board@ncarc.net and volunteer whatever you've got to put forth. And we'd love to hear from you.
Any other questions before we move along here? Okay, great. I want to kind of bring up 2 new items here. First of all, the September picnic, I do believe, is going to have to be canceled. There's just not a good way that we can basically put this thing together. A few of the board and I have talked about this, and it just doesn't seem possible to do this in September. So unfortunately, maybe after this thing is all over, we'll have a spring picnic or something, So I do apologize for that because it's kind of something I look forward to because I don't have to write an agenda for it. But anyway, that has been canceled for September. So we'll have our regular meeting possibly on Zoom and whatever.
Hey, Joe.
Yes. Yes, Mike.
Greg brought up a good idea, perhaps for next year, is combining, depending on where we are with the virus, combining an extra day into field day and having the picnic the evening before the actual start of the session. So I don't know if that would be any more appealing to people or not. I'm just saying Greg had the idea and I thought it was pretty good. You'd Friday night, you'd have the picnic and everybody could be there. And then Saturday afternoon through Sunday morning, you get the actual event going. So it's just another possibility. I didn't see Greg here today, but I want to thank him for all the efforts he put into getting us kicked off and running field day. Anytime you have to deal with the bureaucracy and the county government, health department, stuff like that, who knows? But I did want to appreciate that it's for all the work he did.
Yeah, I've been, I don't know why he's not here either, but I'd like to thank him also. Did an outstanding job. What was the second part of that? Oh, we're debating about Hamfest. Just to kind of keep you up to date, I'm just going to kind of just throw this in. It's in January and everybody thinks we ought to have it in January. However, to throw 500 people in a small building like that, it just ain't going to happen. In fact, I'm not sure they're going to even let us do it. And that's okay. I will be contacting Liz Jack, who's my contact out there, and we'll kind of discuss it. We thought maybe we would reserve it and then basically pull it out, but they have a contract thing that they're not going to budge on. It says 90 days ahead of time, you can cancel without any money. Anything farther than that, you actually have to pay quite a bit of money to pull out of the contract. So I'm working on that also. So that is what it is. The next thing I have is the Red Feather.
Joe?
Yes.
Joe, before we move on from Hamfest, may I take 10 seconds here?
Go ahead.
Folks, if you don't know, Hamfest is our largest moneymaker of the whole year. We make more money for the club on Hamfest than any other event that we do. And as you know, we spend the money on repeaters and things, but we also spend it on education. The tech and general classes we do, and when we do them in person, we provide food for that. We've got the picnic. I know a lot of that stuff is delayed or modified this year, but if we, for some reason, can't have Hamfest, or Hamfest is smaller than it usually is, we're not going to have the budget that we usually do. So what I'd like to humbly pass on here is that, if you look at what this club does for $25 a year from each of you, I think it's pretty amazing. And, the collaboration with the other clubs and very generous donation from several people have made this all possible. But we can't rely solely on the $25 and big donations from folks that have really, handed out a lot. So all I'm asking is just consider possibly, go into our webpage here and there whenever you can, donate a little bit, donate $10. Help us make up what we might lose in Hamfest and just, be a part of this club. We very, very much appreciate your membership. We also very much appreciate your participation at the meetings and the help and everything else. But when it, comes down to it, we're still very, very lucky right now that we don't have to pay for any of our repeater sites, any rent. That is not going to last forever. You can talk to Colorado Connection and Aurora and CRA and stuff. many of the other clubs are already paying rent at repeater sites, and it's not cheap. So that, that's not going to last forever for us either. And the only way we're going to be able to keep this excellent set of services going and expanding and things like that is going to be to have everyone pitch in just a little bit. So I just want to bring that to the forefront. Let you think about it. If you can, every once in a while, donate a couple bucks here and there. Everything will help us.
Hey, James.
Yep.
By any chance, maybe I've missed this in the past, but is the club set up with any programs like Amazon Smile or things like that?
Yes, they are. And we should probably get some more details out to the members about that and reminders about that.
I'll get something posted about. We are part of Amazon Smile. So if you go search in their list of organizations, you can find us there. And James, to follow up to what you said, I agree. We don't have a donation page set up right now, but I will get that going in the next few days.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize we didn't, but thank you. I do a lot of my donating in other ways.
But we want cold hard cash though.
Yeah. Joe, can I jump in? This is K2AD.
Okay.
I was going to say comment, but we always hear on the repeater. It drives me crazy when we do that. So throw in your call sign, K2AD. I really want to amplify what James said, that Hamfest is huge for our group. And what we said earlier is you don't have to be on the board to contribute. And that's one of the things that I enjoy. I don't like going to a lot of meetings, but I like doing things. This is a way that I can say, I'm passionate about this project. I'm going to donate a major piece of it, whether it be a repeater, some feed line, an antenna. We can do that through our donations. But why doesn't the board think about, and one of the things I was going to say is, I really like not being on the board because I get the opportunity to say, board members, here's a problem. Here's a possible solution. Go figure it out. You're smart, smarter than me in a meeting. Why don't we consider having a virtual Hamfest? We've always been doing some programs. We could put those programs onto Zoom. We could also tell people, this is a major moneymaker for us. If you would be so kind, donate $5, $10. You're going to do that anyway. You're going to be spending it in gas, spending it in food. This brings in and allows us to serve in public projects, outreach, repeaters, etc. So you might give some thought to that. The other piece is you will have a contract for the building. And we had the same thing for the Rocky Mountain Division Convention, HamCon. There are clauses in there for whether it's force majeure or the venue being canceled or you not being able to, that you can get out of it. So if you want to do the planning and say, we're going to try to have a Hamfest, you can do that without losing your shirt if the venue does not make itself available. So those are some thoughts for you. I'm going to hit the mute button now.
Yeah, Doug, and I appreciate that. You're absolutely right. Virtual Hamfest is something I had kind of thought about a little bit. But I first want to contact Liz Jack and explain to her, and she's very sympathetic about this. She's my contact out there. I've worked with her for since I've been doing this 7-8 years now. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah. Joe, I guarantee you we're not the only group that's facing this problem. So they have to have a solution to it.
Oh, that's right. And they've canceled left and right. You can see, if you go to the ranch's page, you can see all this stuff that they've got. So, and I probably will have some information probably by next week on this. And I do apologize. We tried making contact this week and didn't make it. So,
and Joe, if I could follow up to what Doug said, obviously we're just starting to get our Hamfest meetings going for the year, trying to figure out what we can and can't do. So if anybody's got ideas like Doug there with a virtual Hamfest or presentations, things like that, feel free to shoot us an email because we're desperate for ideas right now on how to make this an event that people look forward to every year. And it's going to be different this time.
Zero ABV with a question, actually 2 questions. This is
Go ahead.
First of all, back to James, I guess really the whole board. Could you guys kind of give us a ballpark perspective of the revenue the club would not realize if Hamfest did not happen?
Sure can. Pretty easy. Anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000.
And secondly, just from, I don't want to get into the whole COVID political stuff, but my perspective, it seems like if we push the Hamfest from January to maybe March, it seems like a vaccine is going to be available Q1 of next year. And there might be a higher likelihood of it actually occurring if we pushed it off a couple months.
We talked about that briefly, and what we decided is that I was going to contact Liz, work with her as much as I possibly could, or basically the county as much as we could, and see if we couldn't move it around if we needed to. So you're absolutely right, Rhodes. That's an excellent idea. Like he says, it's about half of our income, and I really want to have it, but I also don't want to. My main thing is to keep people safe.
One other thing to keep in mind is that, just because a vaccine might be available on one day doesn't mean we're going to have the entire club inoculated the next. So there's going to be some rollout time. The other thing that we need to keep in mind is that we're not a young group of people.
I fully agree.
Club is in the high-risk group. So
it's a higher likelihood.
All except for Mike, of course.
Which Mike?
The Mike ring that's looking so shocked there. So, it's something we want to, your safety is always going to be in the forefront of our minds on this. So,
absolutely. Yeah, that's all I got, guys. Back to you.
One question I've got, Darren, is the Hamfest committee email open?
There is a Hamfest committee list. I'll need to pull that up. I can post it to the chat window for
anybody. So at least they can send it to that, or they can send it to president@ncarc.net. I don't care. I'll pass that on to you.
A lot of ways to get a hold of us.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead. I'm sorry. The Thomas McGee building out there is unique because it's actually donated by Tom McGee and we did a lot of politicking for a couple of years to make this happen. So, and they're very, very nice and they work well with us. So I don't think it's going to be a problem this year.
Okay. All right.
Anything else? Okay, I'm going to move along to my last item, and that is we've had some pretty good things happen with the Red Feather Project. Shayla and I talked the other day, and then she sent me an email saying that they were looking at the proposal. They would get a hold of me a week ago, and they haven't got a hold of me. She says, if they don't, contact me. So what I'm going to do is next week I'm going to contact them, but we may have some expenses that if we do the project. And why I'm bringing it up in this meeting is that the minute we are given clearance, if you will, to go up there and do this thing, we're going to have to jump fast because it may be 100 degrees today, but it could be snowing up there tomorrow. Probably not, but we've got a very small window because of how they're doing that. So I'm going to turn this over to James, who has all the details on what we might need for this project.
Thanks, Joe. So this is not new. If most of you remember, you've already actually voted and approved this in the past. I think it was about maybe a year ago or close to it. We were originally trying to get permission to join the Kilpecker Mountain site, which is the state's DTRS site, because the coverage up there covers Red Feather and Crystal Lakes and those surrounding areas absolutely 100%. And then it covers all the way back towards the Rewa Mountains and everything west of there is there's a ton of four-wheeling and off-road and backcountry camping and everything back there that a lot of folks do, including a lot of our members. And there is zero communications back there, no cell signal, no nothing. So the project is still the same. It has not changed. We are looking at the only thing that's changed is the location. We've explored a new location, which most of you have probably heard about, called the Dead Man Fire Lookout. And that's the thing that's looking like it could actually go. So given that there's only about a 3-month window out of the year that's accessible, not with a snowmobile or cat or things like that. It's a little longer than that, but it's, the dead of winter, it's accessible only via snowcat or snowmobile, those kinds of things. So we want to go ahead and if we're given the permission to go here, put a very robust site in. I'm not going to go into all the details, but we have a lot of equipment already from some of the shuffling and savings and things that we've done. Because we haven't been to the site physically, inside the building and things like that, we're trying to sort of plan for worst case numbers, so that we can outfit everything properly. We're expecting this to be 100% solar battery site. And Jim, he may or may not have more info. Have you made it up to the building, or is that later this weekend?
That is tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, okay. So, here's the deal, folks. We're talking about doing right now is putting up a UHF DMR repeater that's linked back into the Northern Talk group, and we'll see. I mean, the details of that are unnecessary to figure out right at the moment, but good connectivity back to the front range, and also an analog UHF repeater that is connectable back to the front range. Maybe it'll be full-time connected again. That's something we can hash out and figure out what best fits the need. But as I said, because we haven't been there and we don't have exact details on things, even though we have a lot of the expensive parts, I would like to propose that we reallocate money. You folks all voted on this once, and then we thought the project was following through, we reallocated it elsewhere. Now that this looks promising and our account is in pretty good shape, we'd like to reallocate this money so that if this goes, we can put it in this summer. And so I'm proposing that we allocate up to $5,000 to finish buying all the pieces that we might be missing to complete this site and put that in there. I also had a very large request. I had many requests as we were talking about this to potentially add an APRS node there too that could haul APRS data back to the internet, which we could also do very easily there, and probably do with a low. That'll be inexpensive to add that, so we would put that in the project as well. So you guys have been very supportive. We've done a lot of great things. Our treasury is in good shape and continues to be so due to generous folks and lots of moving things forward. So let me stop there and see if anybody's got any questions about that before we make it an official proposal and take a vote. But yeah, in a nutshell, I'm asking for up to $5,000, and we will be very cognizant of spending we'll spend what we need to do it right, but no more. Any questions?
K0AWS, I want to second the motion so that we can open it for discussion and be all, good with the Robert's Rules of Order thing.
Okay, that is true. We got a
Thank
first.
you, Roy.
We got a second open discussion.
James, this is Roger. When I was up there, and this is a good while ago, there were large solar panels on the site. Are they going to be removed as this is abandoned, or are they going to continue to just sit there?
So first of all, the site is actually not being abandoned. They are ceasing to. The best we understand it right now, it is no longer going to be used as a fire tower. However, the Forest Service will continue, or Larimer County. I'm not 100% sure on the details. Others know more about this. That site is going to be maintained, and it looks like it's going to potentially be added as a historic site. So which is also another reason we should try to get in there before any changes are banned. Everything there will get grandfathered, and we'd like to be under that clause. We are aware of the big solar panels there. What we don't know is if they work and if we can use them. That would be the most ideal situation, because there is a very large solar farm there. So if we're able to do that, we would very much like to, if they're still in good shape, we would like to use them. But we don't know, Roger, and that's why I've got the up to included in my statement, because we may have to do batteries, we may have to do solar, we may have to do both. And so we want to try and cover all our bases there. Ideally, if those are in good shape and could use them, you bet. But Jim is actually going to head up there with some folks that should be able to let him actually into the facility and have some details about it. So we should have some more info on that hopefully soon.
Roger, to kind of add on to that, I've been dealing with the county, and no one knows. No one knows if they're up there, what's happening, this and that. Well, we haven't been up there in years. Well, that's not the answer I really was looking for, but they don't even know.
Okay, we used to have property up there, and we went up and visited and climbed the tower. Do they have a ground? Well, you don't know. I was wondering if they ever added a ground level building, because it's just, when we were there, it was just tower and a kind of a crow's nest up on top where people could look around and see forever.
Yeah, there are two buildings there now. There is a building on the ground that houses the batteries for that particular solar installation, as well as we do have a few details on what used to be there. And then there's actually I think it's an ex-AT&T site. It may not be AT&T, but there was some other type of land mobile site. There's a second building there, which we expect not to have access to. We're looking at the Forest Service building.
Any other questions?
We used to do volunteer work. They would have volunteers up there manning it every summer, just as a part of a display, an interpretive display. And I guess I'm wondering, granted, they may not be doing it this summer, but that was a regular U.S. Forest Service volunteer program in the summer, was to man the tower, go stay up there, be there at least, I guess, on the weekends for the tourists to be able to come up and look around and all that stuff. So I don't know if that's pertinent or not, or
we believe that program is going to continue, Randy, at least from what we've heard so far is that they plan to continue to do that.
Again, you got to realize that it's not owned by the county. It's basically the Forest Service. The county is kind of on our side to do this project. And so that's the only push that I have, is working with the EOC people from Larimer County. And they're really trying. Shale's really working hard for me, and I'm assuming Lori is too. Got a very, very good relationship with them. And by the way, if you didn't know this, the EOC for Larimer County is moving to Johnstown, or what you would kind of call Johnstown, out by Liberty Arms. And they'll probably be moving. Jim, do you know when? What, in a couple months?
Yeah, from what I heard and understand, I think they're planning on trying to be in that building by September. I think it was September, possibly October. But it's supposed to be before fall winter season. So,
and there were two fires that I actually ran one, and Willis ran the other one up there, and we got real lucky in talking to Mike Pullman up there, but we got real lucky. And this is why this tower is very important to us. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, Eric Schwarm here. For James, do you have a list of the equipment you're trying to gather up?
Well, yeah, sort of is the answer, because we know what we have already in stock, and we have to actually get to the site, get inside, see what we're allowed to use, what we're not, to make the final list. So yeah, I've got a list of expected antennas and feed line links and the microwave stuff and things like that. And then, the stuff that's sort of on hold or we've kind of made best guesses on pricing is what do the antenna brackets have to look like? What kind of a rack will or won't fit in there? What, do we need batteries and what form factor would they be? So we've made best guesses on that, and I do have a list. It just can't be completely final until we get to the site.
Understood. Okay, cool. I only asked because I've got some stuff I'm not using and could donate potentially if needed.
I would love to reach out to the club before we purchased anything once we do have that final list. And if anyone is willing and able to do that, we would very much appreciate it. So I will keep you written down on that one, Eric. Thank you.
Outstanding. You bet.
And some of the reason that we're doing this early on, you're saying, well, you've got 3 months. Well, that's possibly true. But when we order some things, if we get the site, they call us next week and say, yeah, you've got it. We've got to order some stuff. And there's lead times on this. This is why I'm trying to get it as early as possible for this type of thing. There's lead times for the equipment that we might need. Any other questions or comments? Okay, there was a second. Everyone who's in favor, say aye or raise their hand.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Anybody?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
is waving to me.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, folks. We'll keep you apprised as we move forward.
Now I'd like to thank Amanda Alden, the star of Hamfest to me, or Ham Nation to me, who comes on every week, and we're going to turn this over to her. Amanda, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much. We do have a slideshow to show you. I think someone's going to run that for me.
Bringing it up right now, Amanda, and then just
Okay.
give me a shout when you want to move it over.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I want to thank you
And
very
I'm
much
seeing-
for coming.
Oh, this is fun. And I'm sorry, we had this unscheduled camping trip, so this put a little thorn in it, but hopefully this runs smoothly. Last weekend, we bought a truck and I had to do a club presentation. So I was doing it down I-25. That was awesome. So anyhow, I'm so glad to be here today. And for
Can you
those that
see
don't
it?
know,
Okay.
I see it just fine. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Glad to be here. I'm K1DDN, and I see so many familiar faces. I wasn't expecting to see such a popular, friendly crowd. So I don't know if that made me more nervous or excited. I'm used to doing this show, and 1,000 people watch at a time, but I don't know that they're watching, so it's not so nerve-wracking. Anyhow, let me introduce myself. Go ahead, James. I'm K1DDN, married to Jeff Carrier, K0JSC, and he's also the technical coordinator for the state, just recently appointed. And I'm just going to pitch this out there a little bit. He's looking for additional technical specialists for the state. So if there's anything you guys can bring to the table, please reach out to him, whether it be repeater knowledge or, sorry, my phone's ringing, DFing, finding noise, helping with RF problems, please contact him and get on that committee, and he'd greatly appreciate it. I'm also the assistant section manager for the state and the public information coordinator. So with that, I'm always looking for additional PIOs, and I currently only have 4 in my group and nobody north of Denver really. So if anyone's interested in a PIO job, to do things such as when we promoted the WWV special event, things like that, we can always use additional help. So reach out to me sometime if you're interested in that. Anyhow, I get this question a lot. What's up with the one call and where did it come from? Well, the FCC had issued me KD0 HIV when I got licensed. And it was awful, and I was mortified and said, I'm never talking on the radio. Anyhow, I'm always kidding around, so I picked K1DDN. It was very suiting. I've been got a general in 2009, and I was invited to host Ham Nation in 2012. And my first episode was number 35, and I was on there just occasionally here and there, reporting on fires, areas, activations, things like that. And then became a regular in like 2013 or something like that. And I've been an extra since also 2013. Next slide. So just our home setup real quick. We use the 7610 Kenwood TS2000. We do that for satellite work and local VHF, UHF stuff. Amplifier, too many HTs to count. So getting a new one this week, I believe. Thanks, Dougie. Kenwood DM710s for our vehicles, and we use a lot of APRS, and we have an APRS Digi at home and a Bionics unit that we send out with our STAR group all the time. So that's a little bit about me. We can move on. And that's our antenna setup. Very nice tower there, and Jeff saying hello in the foreground there. Next. Oh, did you guys want me to describe those? That was like an A4S and stuff. All right, Ham Nation. Ham Nation started with Bob Heil being invited to be on the TWIT network on triangulation. And the owner of TWIT TV thought Bob and his ham radio was so awesome that he thought Bob should do a whole show on it every week. And that's exactly how it started back in, I think it was 2009 or 2010. And Bob said, sure, I'll try a show out, but I can't do it without one of my best friends. And Leo said, great. Okay, who's your best friend? And he said, Joe Walsh from the Eagles. Would you mind if he was on the show with me? And Leah said, well, absolutely not. So they started with episode 1, and I encourage everyone to check that out. Next. So this is where you can watch Ham Nation live. It's at twit.tv/hamnation. And it's on at Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Again, that's the live version. And the live version is kind of fun because it's not cut and pasted. You see all the bloopers we have and all the in the back screens of things and waiting to start up. So we have a lot more chit chat about ham radio and off topic subjects, whatever it is. Anyhow, you can also watch it live via YouTube and Twitch if you don't. Sometimes the website gets overloaded with a lot of viewers at one time. Next. So, and I already explained how it started, but there's Leah Laporte in the background in between Gordo and Bob Heil, and that's at the TWIT studios. A very nice setup. What they do is they have 4 Skype positions, and they use what they call a TriCaster, and it can dial us all up. Now, some of you guys have had the pleasure of joining us on the show. I think Dave W0DAS has been there promoting WWV, as well as, and I can't remember who from your guys' club was on with the club spotlight, and I apologize, but that was Joe. Okay, Joe is on, so he knows how this works. You get called up by the producers, and they talk to you, and then they say you're going to be on. Next. Now we're going to meet our hosts. Obviously, the first host would be, and you can go to the next one, Bob Heil, K9EID. And his background is amazing. Let's face it, we all know who he is and what he does for the hobby. He goes to every ham fest possible. He's one of the most popular known people in ham radio these days and makes some excellent equipment, if I must mention. I don't have a Heil microphone in front of me this morning, but I typically do. So some of his segments include Club Spotlights, which you all know about since you were on one. His Pine Board project was extremely popular, and it was also featured in QST back in January of 2019, I believe. He's an audiophile, so his passion is to make sure everyone sounds excellent, and he'll go into a great depth on this on the show and in person and on the phone and via email. So whenever you need anything from Bob, if you have any problems with any equipment, really just email him at k9eid@awrl.com. One of his biggest passions is AM radio. So he loves to be on the AM portion of the bands, and he has a bunch of friends there, and he encourages everyone to get on. I actually joined in on the AM rally, and that was back in, I think it was February. and had a blast. Of course, some of the guys wouldn't talk to me because I was on my 7610, not some old boat anchor, but it was still a lot of fun. And it was my first experience with AM, and he really encouraged me to do it. So it's great. He's also an avid organ player. And if you ever listen to WTWW, he has a segment on there every Saturday night at 8 p.m., I believe. Sorry, my dogs want to bark at the wind. So I encourage you guys to tune in there. That's on 5085 if you want to listen to that shortwave station. He's also a huge encourager in the youth, wants to see everyone involved, wants us to encourage them more, and would do anything to get them on the air. So a great advocate for the youth. And I had already mentioned WTW. So we can go to the next slide. I just wanted to show off Bob's pine board project there. He took several weeks to build this on Ham Nation, and he would go over a little part every week. So just Google Ham Nation Pine Board Project if you want to check out his segments on it. It's really excellent. We'll go to the next slide. Introducing George Thomas, W5JDX, our smoke and solder guy. Brings a lot to the table, and a lot of you probably know him from Amateur Logic TV. And we can go to the next slide and talk about what segments he hosts. First of all, he's a broadcast engineer down in Mississippi. So he travels to a lot of transmitter sites, and it's fun. He tapes a lot of them and then brings them to the show. So he has a Tales from the Transmitter Site segment that he does quite frequently. Now, all of you repeater guys, you know all about this, going up to 12,000 feet mountains. He goes maybe up to an 1,100 foot mountain and thinks it's a big deal. So we kind of snicker in the background, but it's still, it's great, the things that he shows us and some of the problems he's shown us in those transmitters and things that have blown up. It's a very interesting segment. His smoke and solder segment is all about building projects and lots of Arduino projects. And he likes to resurrect things from the dead. So he likes to repair speakers, radios, and he brings it all to his segment on Ham Nation, and you can check it out. So he also does a lot of easy builds, whether it be just a quick LED clock for your wall or a buzzer. Anyhow, he has lots of projects that he's worked on, and I think a lot of you would like to check those out. Kind of like you guys all know Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB. He's quite the project builder, and George is about the same. George also, again, has his own show called Amateur Logic TV, so check that out as well. Next. I think we all know who Gordon West is, WB6 in OA. If you haven't read some of his books to upgrade or get licensed, you know somebody that has. Also a very well-known character in the ham radio world, and is at every ham fest every year, and loves to meet people, loves to talk to everyone. And we can go to the next slide and talk about some of his segments. Gordo comes from a maritime mobile background. He's been sailing since the age of 15 or 16. Has quite the amazing life story if you ever check it out. I think CQ Magazine did a story on him a couple years ago. I hope everyone checks that out. He loves sharing his short shots on the show, and that's anything from building an antenna, putting up antennas. He's a dipole lover. He's also a mobile lover, so he likes to show us how to do mobile installs. Also QRP and portable operations. He likes to take his stuff down to the beach all the time and just set up an antenna and see who he can hear and talk to. He's part of the W5YI group, and they promote his materials. He also loves all things analog. Almost very passionate about not embracing FT8. Now, I'm not very good at FT8, but I don't take that stance with it. I try to encourage all modes of operation, but he's kind of an analog guy. And he's just got a great personality and an even bigger heart. He really does. He wants to see everyone in the hobby, no matter what it is they do. And he also is a huge Aries person as well. And I think he's an assistant section emergency coordinator for his area down there in Costa Mesa. and he gets called out on wildfires all the time, and they also do quite a bit of wildfire spotting, and their mesh networks with cameras and such to have those on their mountains outside of LA to spot for fires as well. Next. Let's meet Don Wilbanks, probably the biggest personality we have on the show. Overall, very funny. And he's also a former DJ. And so we can go to the next slide and go over what he brings to Ham Nation. He's also a news anchor for Amateur Radio Newsline. And he brings a lot of the Newsline stories to Ham Nation. He has a little segment, it lasts about 5 minutes. He's a radio voice. He does a lot of commercials for iHeartRadio, again, former DJ. And he's just, I don't think the show would work without him. He fills in a lot of...
that Nokia that kept on making sort of the same.
What was that? I missed the comment.
That may have been me.
Okay.
That may have been me, my TV. I didn't realize I was unmuted. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. Anyhow, Don brings a lot to the table and definitely the jokes. Okay, let's go to the next one here. This is Val in V9L. If you have ever worked a contest in your life, you have worked this lady. She is brilliant and she has a wonderful station, her and her husband as well, WB9Z. And let's go over what she brings to the table to Ham Nation. I call her the queen of ham radio because she truly is. She's usually in the top 5 of all of the DX contests. She's a huge DXer. She has like 5 band DXCC, 300 DXCC, and just amazing. She's very good at what she does. And she also got really passionate after we had a few bad hurricanes, and she deployed to Puerto Rico for Hurricane Maria. She was part of the Force of 50 and also helped during Hurricane Harvey. She didn't do ham radio there, but she did help coordinate and rescue dogs. And then she was also she was a Zello dispatch. I don't know if everyone knows what Zello is, but it's an interesting smart application on your phone for talking. It's kind of like radio based over your phone, but it's interesting at best. And anyhow, she brings a DX segment. She tells us all about what contests are coming up, and she gives us helpful hints, tips, and tricks for DXing and contesting and making our lives easier and better. Next. Here is the real brilliant one on the show, Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW, that stands for Space Weather Woman, which is exactly what she is. And we can go over what she brings to the table here. She does space weather. She does this for the Department of Defense. She does it for NASA. She does it for a lot of big, undisclosed companies, I guess. And she makes sure she lets people know when GPS is going to have interruptions. If we're going to be doing satellite launches, she's involved. So she knows what weather is going to be like out there in outer space. And she also can determine what ham radio is going to be like, what our propagation is going to be like for the next 7 days. And she does that basically weekly for Ham Nation. She records it, and it's pretty cool because she has all of the sunspots and she's got the sun spinning behind her and stuff. And she'll talk about each sunspot that's coming into effect and explains it. This woman blows my mind. She is extremely smart. So anyhow, go to spaceweatherwoman.com to check her out and follow her on Twitter as well, because that's where she puts out all of her great photos, and she'll post a lot about auroras and things like that, and you'll see some wonderful pictures there. And she's done a lot of forums for Dayton, and I'm not sure if she's done any other Hamfest, but she's been at Dayton a couple times now, and we're really appreciative of her taking the time to put a segment on our show each week. All right, let's go to the next one on the list. This is Randy Hall, K7AGE, a huge YouTuber, loves to make videos, and is also part of the ARRL. And we'll go to the next one here and go over what he brings to the table. He does do great videos, very good videos of explaining how to set up your FT8 station. He he had great videos on PSK back in the day, and that's where Jeff learned how to set up his PSK and his signal link. It was from Randy's YouTube video, and JT65 when that was very, very popular. Now that FT8 is very, very popular, he's got quite a few videos out on that and making contacts on only 2 to 5 watts. So again, I would Google him if you wanted to learn anything about digital modes. He also does some great projects, and he's got a wonderful shack and this workbench that's to die for. So always check him out and follow him on Twitter and Facebook because he puts out everything on there. So he's a great addition to the show, and we appreciate it. Let's see, who else do we have here? We got Dale, K0HYD. Now, Dale is our videos guy. So if ever you want to have a video on Ham Nation, this is who you send it to. He loves all things ham radio. He's an expert at the video production, and he handles all of our videos. So Ham Nation videos at twit.tv is where you would send those videos. Like maybe you had a field day production or your Ham Fest, those kind of things. Or if you're doing a special education get together, send those things in because we're always looking for new material for the show. And just because you've been on the show before doesn't mean that you won't be invited back. So make sure you, anything significant, be sure to record it and get it to us. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So some of our special guests I'd like to talk about, obviously Joe Walsh. He was on a few episodes. He was on episode number 1, number 200, number 400, and a couple in between there. And just a really great guest. He talks a lot about how he first got started. And I don't want to ruin how he got into ham radio for anyone. I encourage you to watch episode 1 and you'll hear that story. On episode, I think it was 200, I got to interview him and I asked him a few questions about like his most memorable contact, what's his favorite setup while he's out on tour, and he just talks and talks and talks, and he's just a really great guy to listen to. And I bet some of you probably have known him from when he lived up in Fort Collins. At least I had heard stories that some of you, he was active in ham radio then, and some of you knew him. So overall, great guy. I don't have any slides on these other special guests, but I'd just like to mention them because I thought they were an important show. During the first part of our shutdown in COVID, we had an amazing guest, K0MD, and the ARRL just did an article on him. And if you didn't know what his role is, he's working with the Mayo Clinic on antibodies for finding a quick vaccination and helping with COVID-19. And he came on and he had so much information about what we're doing and how we can do things better, and if we've been infected, what we should be doing, going and giving blood and getting our antibodies taken, things like that, and just very brilliant information. So he's going to be on again soon to talk more about what they're calling the second wave or spike in the coronavirus. So look forward to seeing that episode as well. Just an overall great guy. Some other special guests. Well, I already mentioned Dave W0DAS in your club. We've had lots of guests from Colorado. RM Ham has been featured before. I can't think of any off the top of my head because now I'm under pressure. But anyhow, again, we always look for wonderful segments. So we can go to the next slide. This is still our highest rated show, is the All YL show. It was really fun. We had, you look at that familiar face down there, Katie Allen. It was me, Val, Dr. T, Katie, and some other wonderful ladies. We had some youth ladies on as well. So check out episode number 261. Again, it was a really great show, and we had some great guests, very brilliant women on. Next. Again, how to be featured on the show, have an interesting project. Youth projects and unique building projects are very, very popular. Start doing your own video editing before you send it to Dale, but Dale will put the final touches on it and make you look really good. So again, Ham Nation videos at twit.tv. Next. So you can follow Ham Nation on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for us on there. And we always announce some of our special guests and interesting facts about ham radio or who's going to be on our next episode, that kind of thing. So be sure to follow us. Go to the next one here. So some significant shows to watch. I've already said number 1 and 200 and 400. Episode 439 is, I think that's the one with Dave in it, W0DAS, if I recall. Episode 264 and episode 453, and that was your club spotlight. So if you didn't get a chance to watch, I'm sure you all watched it. And then in the end, actually every episode is pretty freaking awesome. So if you're not watching, you're missing out. That's all I can say. Go to the next one there. So that's all I had about that. I was just gonna brag a little bit about Jeff and I. Does anyone have any questions about Ham Nation before we move on? No?
Hey,
Okay.
Amanda, you said that. Oh, sorry. You said that you.
Go ahead.
You said that there was a need for volunteers. Could you go over the contact and the volunteers list one more time? Or where you needed volunteers again?
Volunteers for what?
You said at the beginning that there were a couple of places you needed. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So Jeff is looking for volunteers for the technical specialist positions for the state. And what would happen is if someone had a need in your area, he would call you up and say, listen, somebody's getting some RF noise. They don't know if it's from the electric company or if it's from a neighbor. They're not real good at it. Since I have you on my list, would you mind checking it out for them or going and meeting up with them? So the technical specialist, contact K0JSC at ARRL.net. And that's K0 Juliet Sierra Charlie at ARRL.net. Me personally, I'm looking for more PIOs up in the northern area and definitely on the western slope. And I can name one example. I need a group of PIOs to handle the promotion of 2 the International Space Station contacts are going to take place at JFK and Eisenhower Elementary in Denver. So we have a lot of promoting to do on that with not just local hams, but also just nationally and to civilians alike. So I need a PIO team for that kind of stuff because, you know, obviously living down south in Canyon City, it's hard for me to get up there to go to some of these meetings. A lot of them are on Zoom now. So you can contact me, K1DDN at ARRL.net for that position. Does anyone else have any questions about that? Okay, not hearing any. I just, the rest of these slides are really just a little bit about bragging. Jeff and I were fortunate enough to visit the Last Man Standing set 2 years in a row. So the last time we were there was the middle of December in 2019. And that's their QSL card if you're lucky enough to contact them while they were operating from the Last Man Standing set. And it was a great time. So you can, then in the next slide, you'll see, I think it's us operating. Now that's the actual set. And no, we did not get to meet Tim Allen, but we did get to watch them film their show. So that's pretty unique experience. Jay Leno was on the show that evening as well. So we saw Jay Leno. And they take like 3 takes of each scene, which is pretty funny. And so you don't know which scene, they change it up a little bit. So you never know which one is going to be on the show until you actually watch the show. So that was really interesting. When we were there, Tim Allen was actually filming at his ham radio. So we got it was kind of neat that he was talking ham radio on the show. And you can go to the next slide. The year prior, oh, that's us on the couch on the set, sorry. Now the next slide shows when Ray Novak from ICOM, and that's Jet Jurgensmeyer. He's actually on the show. He's now a ham. And Jeff and I are there in the background operating the other stations. So they were doing D-Star, and he made like 30 contacts on D-Star that day. That was really neat. And Jeff and I were running HF operations, and we still have the record of 100 phone contacts in about an hour and a half. So I'm pretty thrilled about that. Until I got all the QSL cards I had to mail out. I had to fill in all the last man standing ones and send them out to everyone that sent an SASE. But all right, we can go to the next slide here. And that's Jed again at Dayton. And James, you can kind of just quickly go through these next slides. I don't really have much to add. It was just I wanted to show you some of our other activities that we've done down south, and just to kind of wrap up the presentation with. So we do a lot of activations down there, anything from mostly wildfire activations, but as you'll see through these next few slides, we've deployed the QRV, as well as that was just a 5K run. And we've worked with that one was during the quarry fire in 2017. We brought the QRV out there, and our whole job was to listen to air to ground. That was it. We were just letting them know when the heavies were coming through and when they were going to make some helicopter drops. That way the guys on the mountain knew exactly where to go to position. And I think in the next slide it might show the Hayden Pass fire, where oh no, that's Skywarn Day. Never mind. Anyhow, there's the van at Skywarn Day. We also handled comms on DTR for the Hayden Pass fire, and that's this photo while they did evacuation. So all the sheriff's office and search and rescue went out in the field, and we were stuck there handling comms at the incident command. So that was probably one of our most known activations. So, all right, I can't remember what is on the rest of these slides. Oh, there's field day. James know what that's all about. Mark II and Dougie, always a fun time. I think that was from a couple years ago, actually. And more field day. That was from like 3 years ago with the RM Ham. And us doing field day in the RM Ham trailer, which you all know what that looks like. So this was when we did national parks on the air. That was really fun down in the sand dunes. Did everyone else participate in that? Great times to go out and set up and do some portable operations. Very, very popular that year when they had that going on. And I'm not exactly sure why this slide's in here. Sorry about that. And I just wanted to brag. Yes, sir.
That last slide was WWV.
Was it? Okay. So that was from, okay, sorry about that. That was this was from a slideshow about a year ago. And I was talking about how we were going to be there operating. So that's what that is. Thank you so much. I didn't recognize it to save my life. I just wanted to brag about Jeff's repeater system a little bit. We just started the club a year ago, WE0FUN. We call it WeMo Fun because of the Fun Machine. And some of you are familiar with the Fun Machine system. Some of you are not. It's fine. It's just another connected linked repeater system, mostly in Southern Colorado. The closest one to you all would be Mount Thornton. So you probably don't use it quite a bit or listen to it quite a bit, but it is a popular one down here. And everybody loves the WeatherNet, don't they, Doug?
We love the WeatherNet.
That's kind of an inside joke. We do have a WeatherNet every day at 12:15 on there. So if anyone needs to know the weather, you can listen in. Just wanted to show our status page there. Anyone on the CallCon board recognizes this. Okay. That's all I had to say about that. And some of our repeater sites, that's the wonderful West Creek. A lot of you are familiar with that. Well, at least Doug is. That's the Fremont Peak repeater site, and right outside of Canyon City. That's the one on Methodist Mountain. That one's outside of Salida. Again, and a CallCon site, I should say, as well, and CMRG. So, you guys and gals, that's my presentation. So I hope you all check out Ham Nation, and thanks for having me today.
Hey, Amanda.
Yes, sir.
Hey, this is Dick.
Kilo Echo Zero Mike Echo, and I just wanted to let you know on one of the last few episodes, Bob Heil was talking to a gentleman about the fan dipole he had in his attic.
Yeah.
And I got to looking and I said, that's the guy I went to high school with 50 plus years ago. So
Oh,
it's
you're
just
kidding.
great. No, absolutely. So I knew he was a ham back then, but, you know, lost contact with him over 50 years. So that's cool.
That is cool. Well, you know, ham radio is so huge, but yet in such a small world. So, you know, I've found that on HF as well. I made a contact with a guy. He lives in Washington. Jeff looked at his QSL card and said, I used to work with that guy at the steel mill here in Pueblo. He moved about 10 years ago. And I said, oh, well, that's really funny. That's one thing I didn't really bring up is my love of HF. And I love either rag chewing or answering anyone calling CQ. As long as they're not calling CQDX, I'll go back to them and say hi. I actually had made that as a New Year's resolution, was to never let a QSO go by. So if ever I hear someone calling CQ, I'll answer them if I think I can hear them good enough. I love HF nets, and I do a little bit of contesting and DXing. I mostly just I don't do DX contests for the win. I do them just to get countries I haven't worked before. So that's another passion of mine that I don't really talk about that much. I don't know why, but all right. Any other questions?
I have a question. This is Bob N0TZU.
Hi, Bob.
So I'm curious, how long does it take to plan and then do one of your shows and then do all the editing and get it ready for putting out on the web?
That's a great question. So we start planning segments weeks in advance, and we have this huge Google Doc, and we have probably a month in the future laid out, sort of. So we kind of figure out who our guests are going to be within a month, and then verifying those guests. So like club spotlights are really easy to pre-schedule. Now, things that are quick moving, such as a wildfire or something like that, we might cancel a segment so we can have someone come on and talk about their activation during a hurricane or something like that. Other than that, so we try to lay things out in a month in advance. Doesn't always work out, not a perfect system. And then once we do the show on a Wednesday night. Their technical director stays there until it is completely edited and ready to go. So they usually have it within 3 hours after we tape the show that night. So it's up on YouTube in 3 hours after the show. So you can watch it on YouTube, download it from there anytime. And I ignore the comments anymore because people are so rude sometimes on YouTube, but everyone is a critic, let's put it that way. We missed one itty bitty little thing. We didn't discuss what adapter we used on that dipole, and God forbid, it was horrible because of that. Anyhow, actually, a lot of our viewers are wonderful. And there is one thing I didn't mention. If you watch the show live, and I don't know why I didn't mention this, when you watch the show live, there's an IRC chat room that you can get into. And so you can talk with all the other viewers there, and you can talk to all of us show hosts. A lot of us are on there live as well. And that's kind of my job. So that's what I bring to the table is I look at all the questions that the viewers have, and I will bring them to the hosts at the end of the show. So then it's kind of live interaction. So if there are those questions about if you missed what adapter they were using or what coax they were using, was that RG58 or LMR 400? You guys would know those apart, by the way. But if somebody had those questions, that's I bring them to the host. So there are a lot of other questions, technical questions or antenna questions, a lot of antenna questions. One is like, do you recommend a 40 meter dipole or a 40 meter loop? What do you think is best? And a lot of that is opinion based, but still helpful when it comes from some of these experts on the show. So that's the production time of the show.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, you guys?
Amanda, I'd
All
like
right,
to thank.
well-
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to thank you guys. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. For months, I've been trying to get you on this thing. And James and I have kind of misstepped on it. I'll take the blame for that because I probably called him when he was busy, which is usually 24 hours a day. So, but thank you so much for coming on. And I listen to it as a podcast every Thursday morning.
That's great. And yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can listen to the podcast. You can there's Spotify, the RSS feed, there's the Apple podcast. Hell, you can watch it through your Roku now. So you can
really?
Yeah. So you could use your Fire Stick or your Roku, I believe, and also watch the show later on. So you can just add it on there.
If you hadn't seen it, folks, you got to go on there. And I'd really like to meet Joe Walsh, to be honest with you. He's one of my heroes.
Me too.
He's one of my heroes.
I'd like to meet him in person for sure. But one of my most amazing, my best moment in ham radio is able to have a one-on-one with him. That's it. That's my ham radio life. I'm done now. I can retire because that was the best part of it.
Well, as you can see from my background, I kind of play guitar too. So.
Oh, I do see that. Yes. And it's so funny. So many hams are musicians, and they've got the ear for all things music and audio. So I think they just go hand in hand. I'm not much of a musician. I played a clarinet once in my life, but a lot are. So I think it's an amazing interaction.
Well, I've played in bands for years, and I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and they said, you ought to learn CW because you have rhythm. I says, well, my wife won't dance with me because she says I don't have rhythm. So, and that's kind of a true statement. So I can't argue with her. But thank you so much for coming. I do appreciate this.
Thank you all so much. As you guys had mentioned, the virtual Ham Fest, I told James privately, I said, these are your perfect opportunities to have someone like Bob or Gordo join you virtually because they love to come to all kinds of meetings. So they would love to do those Ham Fests. And Gordo is always looking for a way to sell his products. So definitely, and I can help send out an invite if you guys do go virtual, and we'll get them to join you.
Yeah,
a little bit more.
Let's take this offline, but I do need contacts like that if you can help me.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to help any way I can.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the star of Ham Nation? Well, anybody else have anything for the club right now? Questions for the board, or are we going to continue this thing on Zoom? Apparently, yes, for at least a while. I'll be in contact this week or next week with the people, Sarah and Jonathan over there, to see if there's any possibility. But again, shoving 50 people into that little room over there is probably not the best thing we could do. So again, safety is our first concern. Any other comments, questions?
KF0AWS, Roy here.
Roy?
Yeah, I'm rocked. This is my first meeting. I've had my license for 72 hours. So, I'm dutifully impressed. And I got stars in my eyes. And Amanda just rocked me. Thank you much. Thank you all.
Oh, you're very welcome. For the new people that are on here, don't forget that that we offer a radio loan program for 6 months. Show you how to use it, and you get on the nets that we have, and we have at least 2, if not 3, every week. So it's a way to get started.
Joe, this is Phil.
Yes, Phil.
I have to admit that I really, really like these Zoom meetings. It makes it easy to see the presentation straight off, rather than trying to find a spot or a nice seat in that room where we always meet. It's fun to get together, in person, have the breakfast and so forth. But I think every now and then we need to continue with these Zoom meetings, even after the COVID is released or whatever, because it's just it's so handy.
Well, Phil, something that we're considering and we'll pursue after all of this passes is to add a Zoom element to the in-person meetings.
Oh, excellent.
And, you know, do something of that nature so that we can pull in the people that either won't or can't make it to physically to the meetings. And also, so we've got some record of those presentations that's viewable later.
That was my next suggestion. Thanks, Darren.
Well, we've appropriated $2,500 for Jim and Dave to go out and look for various equipment, boards and various things like that, different types of camera where we can actually broadcast this live, and it also will be interactive to the people who are actually just Zooming us or whatever media we use.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, when we first started this Zoom stuff, I said, well, why don't we do this stuff live? We can have people come in from various doing presentations and things like that. And that was my whole thought about the whole thing. And then it kind of blew up from there. So any other comments or questions?
K2AD with a comment.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I don't know if I missed it, but I just wanted to acknowledge the work that James and Greg, and I'm told maybe someone else did. I'm not sure if it was Mark or Bart that helped out with the noise on 275, but they found it, and thanks to their efforts for going out there and clearing that up.
Very good point. Anything else? Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and keep in touch if you'd like to see something in the newsletter or something. And don't forget, we have a strong Elmer program and our TechNet, which Mr. Dixon runs every Monday night at, is it 6 or 6:30, Jim?
Yeah, 6 o'clock. I had to find the mute button. Yeah, 6 o'clock Mondays.
And our regular club on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I won't be there for the next couple of weeks because we're doing some training and we're doing some testing and things like that. So, as Roy well knows. Anything else? Well, thank you and good night. You have a good one.
This presentation was brought to you by the Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club. For more information, visit our website, ncarc.net. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.